Hey, what's up with it, guys? Hey, welcome back to another video. Now this is going to be a quick one going over just my UI and kind of updating you guys on the main changes. I'll put all the links down below. All these add-ons, I'm pretty sure every single add-on is the same add-ons that I've used from the previous video that I posted, but there's some stuff that I've changed, and I'm going to kind of elaborate on a couple things real quick, but we'll just go quickly down the list. All these links will be down below. Bagnon is a lifesaver, really recommended. Bartender is great. Classic aura durations and classic cast bar help a lot on the enemy unit frames. Details is this damage meter and threat meter off to the right. Elkano's buff bars. I get this question a lot. This is what allows me to have the buffs in like a list format up on the top right. This is actually the default too. So if you download this add-on, you don't have to change anything. You can just move it around and it will default look like this. Extended character stats is the add-on I use to show like my bonus spell damage, arcane damage, crit chance, things like that. Item rack is a helpful add-on. I don't really use it that much because I kind of so situationally swap out a piece of gear here and there, but this allows you to preset a bunch of different armor sets if you want and like quick swap between them. OmniCC, or sorry, move anything I don't use. OmniCC I'm not using either. Real mob health. This add-on's supposed to tell you how much health mobs have. It's close, but it's not exact, so it's not really super important in my opinion. SexyMap shadowed unit frames. SexyMap is the mini-map add-on that I have. Really recommend this too because this is really helpful for me. I'm playing on an ultra-wide monitor. This allows me to move everything in. So what you guys are seeing is the center of my monitor, and there's some space on the sides of some stuff that you guys can't see. But the SexyMap add-on lets you make the mini-map bigger or smaller or different kinds of styles, move it around, and I prefer it actually having it down here in the bottom right. Shadowed unit frame is what I use here for like my stats or my health bar and stuff like that, as well as target and target of target. I'll elaborate on that in just a second. Threat plates are the nameplates above the actual mobs, like in front of me, showing debuffs on them and things like that. Tiny tooltip is this add-on where it has the tooltip kind of here on the bottom right. Allows you to anchor the tooltips in different spots and all kinds of stuff like that. Really helpful, helps kind of clean up the UI. Trinket menus are a really common one. You cannot get this on Curse or the Twitch client, but it's a really good add-on for swapping between trinkets, vendor prices, whatever. And then Weakauras is another big one. So real quick, I want to go over on the on the damage meter on details. There's a way you can add. If you go into window control, it'll have an option here for add a window. I already have 4 windows up. It just has these basically like saved. But you add a window and then you go plug in, and it'll allow you to basically add plugin tiny threat. And that's what this add-on is. So if everyone in your raid is using, so this one's like tripping out now because I'm trying to do that, but if everyone in your raid is using details add-on, this is the threat meter that I'm using. It's really important for raiding, especially in BWL. So that's what I use to help monitor threat and damage, as well as it has a lot of breakdown. If you look at various people's damage, it breaks down percentage-wise. It's a really good tool to use just to figure out how you're doing and what spells are doing, what percentage of damage, things like that. Okay, now on to Bartender, Weakauras, and Shadowed unit frames. Those are the 3 big ones. So this is a little more complicated as far as the actual layout. So let's do, we'll do it. Let me enable a couple of these and show you guys kind of in real time what I have to do to get my UI to look like this. So for example, right here off the side of the screen, I have these various bars, right? So these are different action bars that are the default action bars in the game. And what I've done is I basically have all my keybinds. I think 1 is the other one. I have all my keybinds set up on these bars, but what I do is I have them basically shrunk and the alpha to 0, so you can't see them, they're invisible. And the reason I shrink them is because even if you turn the alpha off, if I were to click here, it will click that spell even though you can't see it, because the alpha is just visibly what it looks like to you. So I shrink the bartender and then I alpha it to 0, so there's no chance of me clicking it. You can also move it off to the corner of your screen, whatever, but that's the main thing that I do. So all of my keybinds and everything that I have bound is actually bound via bartender and put on my bars via bartender. So then what I do is I go into bars 1, 5, and 6 are my my main bars, and I alpha them to 0, and I scale to 0. Then I go to 5, alpha to 0, scale to 0, alpha to 0, scale to 0. Now there's no bars. You can't see them. All my keybinds still work. You can see like if I heal myself, things like that. Let me get rid of that cast bar, but you get the idea. All my keybinds still exist. Now, that allows you to access all of your actual abilities without anything being on the map. What I then usually will do is I have a couple of bartender bars, which are these down here, for various active items, things that I maybe want to swap the keybind use. So like mana potions and demonic runes and rejuve pots, and I want to be able to kind of like easily substitute things in and out. I'll put a couple of the bars basically down off to the side of my screen in a smaller format or somewhere in the middle, whatever, however you want to set it up. Then I put trinket menu down here in the center. I have shadowed unit frame centered as well with my target and the target of target, which is really important in my opinion. You always want to have target of target enabled, even if you're a healer. It's really helpful as far as the information. You can figure out when people are getting targeted with spell cast. You can figure out when people are getting aggro. So in general, this is really good to have and just get used to doing this. Now the big one is Weakauras. Now I tried to actually set up a Weakaura account to load these onto a website so you guys can access them, and it's not letting me create an account right now. It says for some reason that service is disabled. If that changes, I'll go ahead and do it. But what you can do is you can go on to Weakaura's classic version, and there is categories by classes. So you can go to just a balanced druid setup, which is what I basically did, and then I tweaked a bunch of it. Weakauras is a really complicated add-on, but for example, you can see here, I'll move this off to the screen. This grouping of my abilities is showing on my target. There's different conditions and all kinds of stuff, but that's how I'm getting all this other information really cleanly placed in the center of my screen. This is showing the duration of Moonfire, the duration of Fairy Fire, and the duration of Entangling Roots right here, with those 3 abilities all bundled together kind of in one group. They basically all function the same. What you can do is basically create one type of Weakaura and then just duplicate it and change the spell name that triggers that Weakaura. Now I have the buff one right here, which is my Mark of the Wild, which it basically highlights if I don't have Mark of the Wild on me. I had this also where it would do thorns, but it got really annoying during raid because most of the time you're not thornsing yourself. There's no need to. So anyway. And then now we have the cooldown, which is this big bar across the top. Basically has every cooldown that I need to know and have access to see if it's up, all kinds of stuff like that. So Barkskin Hurricane right here next to each other. We got Innervate, Trank, we got our Cat Sprint, we got our Frenzied Regen, we got Rebirth, we got War Stomp, Feral Charge, Bash, Nature's Grasp, which I actually don't even have. I'm not talented in that right now. So, but that's how I'm accessing that. And then this is just a normal pet bar down here on the bottom right from Bartender is how I set that up. And then this other one, which is called Druid Specific, this basically will show if I have regrowth. The Entangling Roots doesn't do anything, but if I have regrowth or if I have rejuve on myself, it puts the timer right there next to the frame, so I don't have to look up to the buff bar if I'm trying to like maintain rejuve on myself or something like that. So this is the only thing. That's what you're seeing down here. Like if I heal myself up and I put both on me, you'll see that the duration of the hot on myself, it's only on myself. So if I heal someone else, this doesn't show anything, but it's just the buff on myself. So it's easier to track for like world PvP and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's what I would suggest. I definitely will try to see if I can get to a point of uploading. Oh, another thing worth mentioning, like the toe up trinket, you'll see I have a thing that pops up here showing the duration of the trinket. Things like that are also a really good use for Weakauras. But it's not letting me upload any of these, which I apologize for, because what I was intending on doing originally. So if it ends up changing and letting me do that, I will definitely try and get that uploaded to you guys and put a link below. But that is how I have my UI set up the way that I do. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this. I'm happy to help. The most complicated of these add-ons, I think, is Weakauras, honestly. But there's a lot of guides and a lot of information out there, as well as a lot of really good templates already set up on the Weakauras website. So use that as a tool, make your own kind of custom UI with things that are really important and relevant to you and your playstyle. But hopefully this helped you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.